Hey, I'm John Tabler and we're back. And so in the last video I started showing you how to make a starter, and we're still working on that. But as it comes along, what I'm going to do is take one that's already completed and I'm going to show you how to make the bread. So once that starter finishes up, you add 3 times to it. It's going to be finished and it's going to come out like this. Now, a lot of places will tell you that it needs to have flour put in there a few hours before and let it bubble up. But I'm here to tell you that as long as you have this made and it's ready to go, you can actually take your dough or your flour and make a dough ball, put that in there, and it works perfect. Okay, I haven't seen any difference whatsoever. You can try it like that, but I'm going to show you the easy, quick way, because we want it easy, we want it quick, so we have bread every day that nourishes our bodies and we don't procrastinate or put it off and not do it. So this is really easy. So what I'm going to do, just to review a little bit, is to throw a little bit of wheat into the grinder, because essentially I usually do it right before, but I turn it on and that wheat powder goes through that pipe, and when it speeds up, it's done. Now I've already done it. Again, you don't want to open that up right now. I'm going to keep this shirt without having spots all over it. I'm going to attempt to show you how easy this is. We'll see how messy I get, but I say it's easy. I say you can do it without getting messy. We'll see about that. So when I take that off, what we've got is ground up wheat berries. Now, that has all the vitamins, all the nourishment. It's going to make your final bread loaf be a little bit more thick and coarse because it has the bran in it, kind of like a bran muffin. But the way I look at it is it has all the vitamins in it. And when you put butter and honey on it or jelly, it is tremendous. So you can take the bran out with a sifting, there's a little basket that you use. It's right here. And you can sift it. It's so fine that it just lets the powder through like it's snowing almost. But for me, I want all the vitamins and all the nutrients. And I say to do it the simple way. The first time you can get whole wheat flour. And then what we're going to do is, I'm not measuring anything. I'm making this quick, okay? So I'm going to pour some flour in there. However big a loaf you want. There, I'll take a loaf that big. I'll take a bigger loaf. Then I'm going to need spring water. I might have to get a little bit more. Just pour it in there. Going to need a little bit more, so I might have to move this camera for just a second. I make things easy. Pour a little bit more water in there. And then I'm going to take that spoon and stir it. Now I use a plastic bowl. I really don't want to use metal bowls. You'll know about how much water to put in there. You're going to make a dough ball. You can always add more water. So start off with a little bit less. And then add more. Because you want it to be consistency of dough. Like I got too much in there at the moment, too much water, so I'll just make it bigger. If you make too much, you can just set it aside and use it for pizza later on. So it's just like mixing anything with water in it. It's not complicated. How many spots do I have on my shirt at this point? Oh, I got a couple. It's probably from that sifter. That's the thing about that. It just complicates it. Now, if you're making cakes and things like that, you can use a sifter. It'll make the flour more airy, light. But what we're doing here, now I'm getting my hands in there. So, what I do is I'm just basically going to get the water mixed in with the flour, and that's pretty much it. After that, I'm going to let it sit. Actually, can pour the rest. So see, on this one, I added a little too much water too quick. But you just fix it by putting a little bit more flour in. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. All we're trying to get is a dough ball that's the consistency of dough and not too sticky. And I would say we're at about, not counting the grain grinding, just the water bit, I don't think I'm over 3 minutes yet. I mean, it's basically done. It wouldn't take this long if I put a little less water. I mean, you can get down to going and measuring it. I just don't see the need to. It's kind of like pouring a cup of coffee. Like, I don't want to pour a cup of coffee into a measurer and then put it in my cup. I know pretty much what I need. There you go. Just throw that in there like that, and you're good to go. It's a dough ball. What we're going to do, though, once we have that dough ball made, is we're going to take a little bit of that starter and jump start that baby. So we have a dough ball, just flour and water. Nothing complicated. It gets a little harder to get your hair out of your face. Don't do it with your hand. You'll end up with the mess I was talking about that I'm not going to do. Anyway, you don't have to knead this dough. Knead it meaning the term for working it, folding it. I'm not doing all that. I'm eating bread, good bread. And there's other work to be done than sit around all day kneading the dough and folding the dough. And see, really what's happening there is there are practices that are being taken from yeast bread, in which that's necessary because you need to make a gluey, much like when I chewed that gum, you have to make it really gluey to hold the air, because the air comes from a completely different source and method than it does from this natural method. With this natural method, it's coming from the interior of the structure of the substance. It's put there by God, put there in nature, and you don't need to turn this to glue. It's going to dissolve all that glue. So there's no point of that. But what I am going to do now is I'm going to reach into that starter once I have that dough ball made and put some on there. Just put some on there. About 4 tablespoons is enough. It's a jump starter. When you're jumping a car, you don't need to measure a whole bunch of things. You just hook those jumper cables up. Once you put some of that starter in there, doesn't matter if it's 2 tablespoons or 4 tablespoons, really. It's not that important. The matter of it is that starter is going to be like magic and act like a jump starter in this loaf. All I do, once I got it in there, is just work it through a little bit. But it spreads like a fire. So it wouldn't even matter anyway if you didn't get it all the way worked through, because you build that thing like a fire, and once it's done, it's a substance that's like a fire, and it's going to basically spread through this whole loaf. And in about 8 hours, it'll be good to go. It'll be done. The only thing I've pretty much learned is that you just don't want it too gooey. You want it to be doughy. So just make sure you end up with it doughy and not too wet. That's a pretty good dough ball. Now what I do is just stick it in a bowl. And in the bowl, I use a towel. And I'm going to show you that real quick. I got to actually pull it out. Okay, we're back, and I got one of these dish rag towels. Now you can get a special, what they call a proofing basket, and use those. I just prefer to grab a bowl. That's what you're all going to have right now. You can get fancy with it later. But you take that and you just lay a dish rag in there, and I ground a teeny bit more flour, so I had that. And what we do is just sprinkle some on there so the dough doesn't stick. Tomorrow, we're going to take it. Once it raised, it needs that 8 hours, but it doesn't need 4 days or 5 days. It just needs time for that starter to work through this dough and do what it had already done to itself, which is completely neutralize that gluten, unlock the nutrients. Some people will actually take a spoonful of that starter or more and eat it with water for stomach health and to upset stomach and things like that, and it works perfectly. So you want that dough ball to be a dough ball. That's all you need to do with that. You just put some flour in there and add water. You don't want it to be sticky. See, I can actually get it off of my hand. That's a dough ball with starter in it, so it's good. It's not more complicated than that. So it's a little more sticky than that. Just throw a little bit. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. So there you go. You got that made fine like that. I haven't worked it. I put some flour over that. You can be very liberal with that. But you don't want to add a bunch of flour later on, because the whole point of this is for that starter to neutralize the gluten in the flour. So to take it the next day and put more flour on it is entirely defeating the purpose of what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we're making this grain that the sun put its energy and vibrance into, we're taking that and converting it to our bodies. And the way we do that, to unlock that power that came from that, is just to ferment that and bake it real quick. So we put that in that bowl. Throw a little flour on top, because we can do it now, because it will neutralize that. That's so the towel doesn't stick. Put it over, put it over, put it over, set it up. I put it up on top of the refrigerator because slightly warmer. You want it to be over 70 degrees. If it's a little warmer, it's going to ferment a little faster. That's why many pizza places take warmers and stick their dough in, even though they have yeast in there. It makes the reaction happen faster. You don't really want it to get cold. You've got to remember, throughout history, they did not have refrigerators and electricity, and they made their bread just fine. So just set it up there. It's going to be fine. You're going to come back tomorrow morning. I do this in the evening, and so you can get up and bake it in the morning, but you're going to be 8 to 12-ish hours. What I do to make sure it's done is I take a little piece of that dough off and I chew on it. And if you feel any gum, it's not quite long enough yet. So that's really how it comes down. So if you chew on it a little bit and it's not gummy at all and it just dissolves in your mouth, it's been completely neutralized and it's done fermenting. It can be different times depending on the temperature. The colder it is, the slower it goes. The warmer it is, the faster it goes. But that's a good test. And then at that point, if you can't bake it right away, you can stick it in the fridge to slow it up, because it's already been done. But I like to bake it right away then at that time. And you're going to be, I think that probably took me, less than 5 minutes to take that flour, mix with water, make a dough ball, put a little starter in there, wrap it up, throw it in the bowl, and stick it up. You're done. That's your bread. Now all you got to do is bake it. You stick it in the oven does the work, but you're done. What you have to do now is clean up. And that's always one of our most favorite things. There really should be some anthem or song played for cleaning up. I'm going to need a little bit of it. I think I did all right. I got one spot here, making it worse at the moment. But the main thing about this is you're going to eat a food that you've never actually had before, that you think you've had all your life, called bread. But you've never had bread. You're getting ready to have bread, and your body's going to, just like your body gets thirsty for water, your body's going to be thirsty for that bread and that nourishment that you haven't been getting. And it's going to change your body. This bread will make you skinny. You mark my words on that one. In the same way that you can eat a bucket of raw apples and not gain a pound, you eat bread like this, it's nothing like what's going on in the store. So you're going to be athletic, nourished, you just can't compare it. And I can't wait to show you what's going to happen in the next video when we bake that bread and we pull that bread out. For right now, just know that you're going to have some good eatings tomorrow. So I'll see you soon. Hey, if you like the ideas you're seeing here and you like these videos and you're seeing some intriguing things, there's a thumbs up right down below here. Just kindly touch that for me, and also the subscriber button. You'll be the first to get new videos with new ideas on them right when they come out. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to making more videos for you.